Our bodies are alkaline by design and acid by function. Hi, I'm John Rose. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to take a much closer look at why there's so much confusion around this issue. Why is there so much confusion around nutrition? Why are our doctors clueless? Well, folks, in order to understand profound questions like that, you have to understand how the world works. You have to understand that there's a small group of people who own and control every major sector of human endeavor. That includes our educational systems, that includes what our doctors are taught, and what our nutritionists are taught. And you have to understand that the powers that be are sick, they're psychopaths, they're con artists, they're magicians, they're masters of illusion. That's the key right there. It's all a big magic act to them. They're tricking us. There are three simple ways you can make the most intelligent person stupid. They've done it to our doctors. They're supposed to be real smart, aren't they? Well, if you understood how the educational systems were set up and how it's really a weapon system, how it's set up to make sure that they reward the people who won't question authority so they'll become our doctors. They're not really that smart. They've got a good memory, but they're not problem solvers. They're not engineers. They're not able to think. They just can memorize. And they're really easy to trick, but all of us are easy to trick if somebody can get us to take the first step in the wrong direction, or bark up the wrong tree, or put the cart before the horse. And you see, that's what they've done. The powers that be are magicians, and they've turned our experts into magicians. And it's not complicated. Once you understand, there's two things we got to focus on. And it's a sleight of hand magic act that they do to us. Right off the bat, it's cause and effect. What do they do to these poor medical students? They don't let them study what could be the cause. They name the effect, and all their attention is focused on the effect. They took the first step in the wrong direction. They went to the effect side, not the cause side. They're barking up the wrong tree. They're barking up the effect tree, not the cause tree. And they're putting the cart before the horse for a problem within their control, and in Latin that is called modus ponens. A big part of my story on my YouTube channel has to do with a special teaching tool I created to illustrate that our so-called experts, those who are controlling certain areas of certain fields, nutrition, whatever, are not our experts, and how they've been tricked intentionally not to figure things out. It's not complicated once you understand we got to focus on the two things and not to get distracted and only focus on the wrong thing. So again, I created a tool for this purpose. My special teaching tool has 3 stages of knowledge. The cause and effect are in the last 2 stages. Again, don't look at the cause. Don't study lifestyle factors that determine why you get sick. We'll focus on the effect. That's what they do. Again, what they do is they focus on a problem that's within our control. In Latin, it's called modus ponens. So when we use logic to prove our point, there are 2 criterion that must be met, or there are 2 requirements. Or I like to think of them as 2 simple tests that must be passed in order to use logic. The key here is that if they fail any one of the tests, they fail everything. So what we do is we start with the simple test. In logic, 2 tests. The first test is the structure test. Now when you think of logic, think of railroad tracks are a one-way and railroad carts on top of it. The structure is the tracks. The railroad carts are the contents, are the details, are the specifics. And what our so-called experts want to do, they want us to go down the rabbit hole and get lost in those railroad carts. No, look at the structure. Which way are the tracks going? Cause and effect. The railroad tracks are going this way, cause and effect. They're ordered pairs, one comes before the other. Sequence cannot be reversed. If you start downstream, you're taking the first step in the wrong direction, you're barking up the wrong tree. You've put the cart before the horse. You got to work backwards and look at what you're doing and go backwards one more time to the first stage of knowledge, our belief system that is responsible for the lifestyle choices that give us this horrible feedback. So what we want to do to make life simple is do what Sherlock Holmes would do. You exclude the impossible. So when we look at what the people who are in charge of these different systems, like medicine, for example, allopathic doctors have been given a monopoly on this field. When you look at the systems in charge and you want to evaluate them, don't get lost down the details trying to find logical fallacies in their structure or in their context. the details, the specifics, you realize they're already guilty of mons ponens. They're treating the symptom and not looking at the cause. So it's a sleight of hand trick. And again, that's why I created my special teaching tool. I call it the ultimate schematic. There are 3 main stages of knowledge. There's pluses and minuses, 6 total boxes. They all logically connect, 18 connections or 18 portals, 212 pieces altogether, or 281 pieces. 212 are in 6 boxes. The other 69 are in the 18 portals. May sound complicated, but I know some of you all want details, but let's make it simple. Let's exclude the impossible. We already know we can throw conventional medicine out the window because they failed one of the tests. They failed the mons ponens test. They're putting the cart before the horse. That's the #1 problem that they're making. But it's not the only way they're being tricked. And it's not the only way we're being tricked. You can bark up the wrong tree a lot of ways. Remember, folks, our body's nothing but a bunch of cells and then 2 main fluids. Blood is like the kitchen. It's alkaline. It's feeding the body. The body's alkaline by design. And then the bathroom for the cells, the lymph fluid. Acid by function. The lymph system is a lipid-based, cholesterol-based system to deal with the acid side of chemistry. So one of the reasons why there's so much confusion around this acid-alkaline discussion is that our experts are being tricked. They focused on the symptom, and then your body's nothing but a bunch of cells, 2 fluids. They study the cells, but they don't study the concept of totality. You go to an eye specialist, and they'll look at your blood and the tissues, but they don't know what's on the other side of the cells. What surrounds most of our cells? It's interstitial fluid around our cells. Most of it is the lymph system. Most of it is the bathroom. That's the acid side. So when people say that cancer is an acidic condition, they're not referring to the blood or even the tissues. They're referring to the bathroom. Our cells eat, excrement comes out, 3 pH, our food, waste matter from our cells. That's 50,000 times hotter than our blood. I explained this in more detail in one of my recent videos, What Should You Do When Your Cancer Treatments Stop Working? I explained how cancer comes from the acid side of chemistry. So in order to understand things, to make sense out of anything because it's so confusing, you have to understand, #1, we have a species-specific diet. #2, cooking destroys everything. It destroys one of our senses. It changes our mentality. It creates a whole different world that shouldn't exist. Then we have to understand how the world works. We have to understand there's a small group of people who are tricking and fooling us. It's a magic act. It's a sleight of hand. If you're going to talk about acid and alkaline and you don't understand the role the lymph system plays, you've lost the whole point of the whole story. Focusing on the blood, you're a fool. The only reason why you want to focus on the food is what's it going to do to the kidneys, and see, that's the problem. Again, you look at our experts and they talk about how the kidneys balance out the acid-alkaline balance in our food, in our blood, but they don't understand the lymph system. So the kidneys are a lot more important in balancing our acid and alkaline in our body, because it doesn't just filter the blood, the kitchen, the delivery trucks coming from our digestive system to the cells, bringing the food, but it also filters the lymph system, which is like dump trucks taking our waste matter so it can go out the body. Our dump trucks stop working. That lymph system backs up. It's acidic if it doesn't get converted by the bacteria inside of our cells. Again, in order to understand why there's so much confusion around nutrition and medicine, you have to understand how the world works. These people are con artists. They're psychopaths, and they are magicians. So if you have not studied psychopathy, you're going to be at a disadvantage. If you haven't studied con artists, if you don't know how to be a con artist, you're going to be at the mercy of people who are going to trick you and fool you. You also have to understand magicians and magic and how black magic works. How the powers that be use these things to trick us and fool us and give the illusion that they're solving our problems. Because these chemicals can interfere with our body's communication process and make it look like these drugs are working. But they don't work, folks. Most of them are chlorine-based, so that's on the acid side of the equation also. Disease is coming from the acid side of the equation. It's not our blood. Our blood has to remain slightly alkaline. There's a lot of backup systems to make sure that happens. But we get too focused on the blood, we get too focused on the tissues, and we don't understand the lymph system. So how can you make a smart person an idiot or dumb? Well, I did a video just recently about how conventional wisdom can take even the most intelligent mind and make them what I termed a social idiot, based on what Lenin used as a useful idiot. Now, Lenin loved his useful idiots. They're really smart people that help promote his agenda, which in effect was going to be the demise of the people who were helping him. That's why they were idiots. You idiot, you're helping me contribute to your demise. Now we have social idiots who aren't as useful, but nonetheless you go around and parrot the stuff you've been told. And again, the things we're missing is we don't know the cause of disease, we don't know how the powers that be work, we don't know that cooking destroys one of our senses, and we don't know our species-specific diet. If you don't know those four main things right there, you're never going to make any sense out of anything when you're trying to analyze what you should do or why there's so much confusion in a certain area. Very few people understand the cause of disease. We have 2 bathrooms. We eat, we eliminate, there is 1 bathroom. Our cells eat, they eliminate, there's the other bathroom. The bathroom for our cells, once again, is a lipid-based, cholesterol-based system to deal with the acid side of chemistry. So when people start talking about being acidic, we're not talking about the blood, we're talking about the lymph system, we're talking about the bathroom. It's backing up. And that's what causes all of our problems. Now, to get a better understanding of what I'm saying today, I'm not going to go into any more detail, but there's 2 videos you can watch that will really help put things together for you. One is, what is the healthiest diet in the world? I explain in more detail about the cause of disease and how it goes through stages. I explain that we have a species-specific diet, and then we have 10 body systems, and if you don't understand how those 10 body systems might not be working, you might struggle with your species-specific diet. And then my video I did just the other day about what we should do when our cancer treatments stop working also goes into the fact that our cells eliminate 3 pH 50,000 times higher than our blood. We may have big old pools of lymph fluid that may have been converted to 6 pH if that bacteria got a hold of it, and now it's not cancerous, it's not going to burn any cells. But if we don't have enough bacteria, then we have pools of lymph fluid that could be 3 pH, and that's going to burn our cells. That's the cancer that comes from an acidic condition. It's not our blood, folks. What we have to understand, if we don't eat the right foods, if we eat these foods that are high in protein, that are high in acids, we are going to damage our kidneys, and the kidneys don't just filter the blood to help balance our acid-alkaline balance, they also filter the lymph system, and that's where the acid is getting us. Got to clean those bathrooms out, folks. It's simple. Take a solid food vacation. That will clean this bathroom out. And that's the best way to clean the other bathroom out. And when you can clean those 2 bathrooms out and wake up to all this confusion, you're finally going to be in for a treat.